You've probably seen pictures just like this, right? The perfect English postcard from a place called Ironbridge. It's this beautiful icon of heritage, a tranquil valley that looks like it's frozen in time. But that idyllic image? It's not the whole story. Not even close. Let's dig into what's really hiding just beneath that calm surface.
So here it is, the Ironbridge Gorge in Shropshire. And yeah, it's a big deal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's known as the cradle of the Industrial Revolution, the place that literally changed the entire world. But today, as you can see, it's just this peaceful, beautiful destination.
But what if I told you that this serene landscape, this so-called cradle of innovation, was described by the people who actually saw it in its heyday as the entrance to hell? That's the story we're unpacking today, the hidden, much darker history behind that pretty postcard. All right, so let's peel back the layers of this perfect picture and see what's really going on. And wow, look at this. The contrast couldn't be more stark. On one side, you've got the lush green valley we see today, but on the other, that's a vision of the past. And this isn't some artist's wild fantasy. It's a depiction of what the gorge actually looked like at night, lit up by the constant burning glow of blast furnaces. And it wasn't just a sight to behold. People who visited back then described a hell's fire landscape. You have to imagine it. Skies choked with smoke, a constant deafening roar. It was the real-life version of those dark satanic mills that people were writing about. So how on earth did this remote little valley become the engine room for a new industrial world? Well, let's look at the one innovation that kick-started everything. This right here, this is where the revolution truly began, the old furnace at Coalbrookdale. In 1709, an ironmaster named Abraham Darby I perfected a way to smelt iron using coke, which is made from coal, instead of charcoal. This one single breakthrough made iron cheap and plentiful, and it completely unleashed its potential for mass production. And this timeline really puts it all into perspective. You've got Darby's big idea in 1709 that sets the whole stage. Decades later, his grandson, Abraham Darby III, harnesses that power to build the bridge we all know. It opens in 1781, and then almost 200 years later, its global importance is finally cemented. Now, let's focus on the centerpiece of the whole story, the bridge itself, because this was way more than just a crossing. It was a massive statement. And this is just brilliant. It shows the genius of how it was built. See, no one had ever built a bridge out of iron before, so the builders just did what they knew best: woodworking. They used classic carpentry joints, dovetails, mortise and tenons, but they used them on 378 tons of cast iron. It was a total wooden mindset applied to a brand new iron reality. But this revolutionary design came at an absolutely staggering cost. The final bill was £6,000, double the original estimate. It was such a huge gamble that it actually bankrupted its creator, Abraham Darby III. He covered all the extra costs himself and died just a few years later, deep in debt. And its strength? Well, that became legendary. Get this, as late as 1932, a circus was passing through town, and they marched one of their elephants across the bridge. I mean, yeah, it was a publicity stunt, but it was also a pretty spectacular way to prove that your 150-year-old iron bridge could still hold its own. But for all its engineering glory, the gorge has a much darker side. This new industrial world was built on relentless labor, and it came at a huge human cost, leaving behind stories that, well, still haunt the valley to this day. The folklore around here is rooted in some very real danger. You hear legends of a ghost barge on the river, filled with corpses, which probably grew out of the trauma of industrial accidents. Then there's the iron ghost, supposedly a worker who fell and died while building the bridge. But these stories are shadowed by real events, like the horrific Coalport ferry disaster in 1799, where 28 people, many of them women and kids, drowned. Or the grim fate of the kiln sleepers, who died from carbon monoxide fumes just trying to stay warm. And the hardship wasn't just physical, it was economic too. This bridge was a private business, and the owners had to make back their massive investment. This is the original table of tolls, basically the price list for crossing the river. Look right at the bottom line. For every foot passenger, a halfpenny. A halfpenny might sound like nothing to us, but for the families working in the furnaces and mines, that was about the same price as a loaf of bread. Imagine that, paying the price of a loaf of bread just to get to work.
So, let's bring the story back to the present day. The fires have long gone out, and the gorge has been reborn. What is the legacy of this place, really?
Today, after a huge restoration, the bridge is back to its original red-brown color, a detail they discovered through modern paint analysis. It doesn't stand as a working piece of infrastructure anymore, but as a protected monument. It's a silent testament to that exact moment the world was forged anew, in fire and iron. The Iron Bridge is, without a doubt, a monument to human ingenuity. It's a symbol of progress. But when you look back at the whole story, the ambition, the sacrifice, the ghosts, it leaves us with a really critical question. What is the true price of progress, and who is it that pays it?